order the July 8th meeting of the Harris Township Board of Supervisors. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are starting with a public hearing. The proposed ordinance number 367, amending the SLO Center Region Library Articles of Agreement.
At the May 28, 2024 meeting, the General Forum approved a SLO Library Board of Trustees and Executive Committee recommendation to approve an amendment to the SLO Center Region Library Articles of Agreement. The proposed ordinance is required to adopt the proposed amendments. On March 12, 2015, the Townships of College, Ferguson, Half Moon, Harrison, Patton, and the Borough of State College entered into the SLO Center Region Library a joint Articles of Agreement governing appointments to the Library Board, assigning duties and responsibilities for the board dealing with library finances, governing facilities and equipment, and specifying board members for member municipalities, and outlining the relationship between SLO Center Region Library and the Center Region Council of Governments. Half Moon Township determined that it is in their best interest to withdraw from the library at the end of 2024, having issued its prior written notice as required by Section 7.2 of the Joint Articles of Agreement. As a result, the SLO Library Board of Trustees, Executive Committee, and General Forum recommended amending two sections of the Joint Articles of Agreement of March 12, 2015 as follows. Section 3.2 is amended to delete Half Moon Township. Section 3.3 of the Joint Articles of Agreement is deleted and replaced by the following. The 9th seat on the board shall be shared on an alternating basis by College Township and Harris Township as follows. College Township shall appoint a member for one 3-year term effective on January 1st, 2025. If possible, College Township may appoint its member to serve the remainder of 2024 following the effective date of these Joint Articles of Agreement. Afterward, Harris Township shall appoint one member to a 3-year term effective on January 1st, 2028. College and Harris Township shall continue to appoint a member to alternating 3-year terms until another township joins the library program. Should another township join the library program in the future, this 9th seat shall be assigned to that township at the end of the term of the current incumbent. At that point, the township's member shall be eligible for 3-year terms as outlined in the agreement. Proposed Ordinance 367 would approve Amendment 1 of the SLO Center Region Library Articles of Agreement as approved by the COG General Forum.
Okay. Comments from the public? Not likely.
I move we adjourn the public meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adjournment of that? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So now we get down to business. So approval of minutes of June 10th, 2024. Public hearings and June 10th, 2024 regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Tracy. Any comments, questions, concerns about the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Comments from the public for anything not on the agenda for this evening? Doesn't look like it. We will go on to, let's see, new agenda items. Anybody want to bring up a new agenda item as required by Act 65? No? Okay. Moving right along then. Township business is first on the agenda is Country Place Community Garden Shed Proposal.
In 2009, the Harris Township Board of Supervisors permitted a group of interested residents to establish a community garden within the township-owned open space in the Country Place development. The garden has a total of 21 plots that can be reserved annually. Plots are surrounded by a fence that was partially funded by the township. Reservation of plots and maintenance of the gardens are coordinated by the Harris Township Community Garden Association. Several members of the association recently reached out to the township about constructing a shed on the property to allow for the storage of supplies and gardening equipment. They indicated that the structure would be within the existing fence and could either be a fully enclosed structure or a structure with one open side. Since the gardens are on township property, the Board of Supervisors needs to provide permission for a shed to be constructed. If the board is agreeable to the construction of a shed, the Community Garden Association will need to obtain a zoning permit prior to construction.
How big is the shed?
Todd, I don't know if they actually indicated a specific size. We thought there might be some folks here this evening from the association to speak to the matter, but I didn't get the impression it was going to be.
Do you always need a zoning permit for any shed?
Yes, you do. I think the conversation I had with the person that made this request was that it wouldn't be particularly big. I think it would be 144 square feet in area or smaller.
Which is inside.
Yeah.
12 by 12 and no building permit required for that size shed.
No building permits required for that shed, and you can place it as close as 6 feet to the side and rear property line, but since it's your property, you would, if you desired, you could have input on where you'd want to see it.
Mhm.
Question, comment?
Yes.
I think, talk with them, discuss about making it, putting it on like 6x6s so it's movable. So that, you know, this year they put one here and then next year they want one at the other end, they can move the shed.
The only
So make
problem
sure
with
it's
that
not
is
movable.
you have to get a zoning permit every time you move it,
Why?
because that's what the ordinance says.
I thought that's why you made them portable, so you didn't have to worry about zoning.
Now,
'Cause you can
our,
move it if it's
our
out of
ordinance
effect.
doesn't distinguish what's a temporary or movable structure from what's a permanent
We
structure.
should look at that because the reason you move it is in case it's in a bad place, you get to move it into a good place.
And we can certainly make that change. The problem would be if they move it without township knowing it or without township approving it, then they may move it to a location that's no longer compliant with the regulations.
And then when we see it, we tell them to move it back.
Well, it's more complicated than that.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, usually we build one and then a couple, we could use another one because we don't want to walk all the way to the other end. I'd say if we made it portable, they could put it wherever they wanted it.
Does this cover any of the plots that are existing there for the gardening, or is this away from those plots? Just
Don't know
curious.
where they want to put it.
They said it would be inside of the fence, so I don't know if all of the space inside the fence is taken up in plots, or if they have an area identified that isn't gonna impact the, you know, the gardening area. But they said it would be inside the existing fence.
Well, that's your determination when they bring a plan in.
Yeah, and with Webbia, you know, if they don't know exactly where the property lines are with Webbia, it should show where the fence is, and we can do the measuring online.
We can't predetermine that.
Right.
Do we have any standards to demand what kind of, like, are they gonna pound it together with 2x4s and, you know, any color, any way, anyhow, any whatever? Do we have standards that we want them to follow?
There are no standards within the zoning ordinance, but if you'd like to impose some, you have that ability.
Well, I guess that's my problem, is like, I'd like it to be decent for the neighborhood as well, you know? Like, that should be nice for the neighborhood, it shouldn't be crappy like the lean-to I have on my property. That has
have
been there
a-
for 100 years.
I have a suggestion that we could approve this contingent upon the board approving the design of the shed once they have determined it.
Yeah,
Because it's our property, we can do what we want.
I would
And-
agree.
And I would also suggest that perhaps one might want to waive the zoning permit fee because it's minimal anyway, and it's just a show of faith since it's our property. And community gardens are a good thing. So,
The only thing I would say on that, do we want to get involved in looking at it afterwards, or do we just want to put it in our staff's hands and say, make sure it looks nice and go from there?
Well, we don't have to approve it now.
I know.
Again, I just say-
I'm perfectly comfortable putting it in staff's hands to make sure it looks nice.
I'd like, since it's
Okay,
township
well,
property, I
alright,
think it'd be
perfect.
appropriate for us to see the
Okay.
plans before we give it a
Okay.
final approval.
Okay, that's okay too.
I'd say we're amenable to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds good.
yeah.
That's a good discussion. anyway.
Give us a plan.
It's a nice word.
I will follow up with them and let them know that.
I would say amenable, but that's okay.
It's okay. You
All right.
speak German.
Well, so that was easy. Next is Calvary Church Phase 2 preliminary land development plan revised.
In May of 2022, the Board of Supervisors approved with conditions a preliminary land development plan for the Calvary Church property south of Discovery Drive. The plan proposed a small addition to the church to house offices, work areas, and the like. The conditions of approval for that plan were never met. On May 1st of this year, staff received from Pentair Engineering a revised Phase 2 preliminary land development plan for the property that proposes a small building addition, but of a different size and a slightly different location from the previous plan. As with the previous plan, neither parking nor stormwater management are adversely impacted by the proposal. Staff concluded after initial evaluation that the changes were minor enough that a totally new plan submission was not required, that the township could accept a revised plan for review. Staff conducted one such review, and those review letters from the township engineer and zoning officer were included with the agenda as well as the plan sheet showing the 2024 proposed addition as compared to the original 2013 land development phasing schedule. A relatively small number of comments remain outstanding, and staff believes that they can be addressed in a timely manner. Approval and recording of a final land development plan will be required before the actual addition could be permitted and constructed, so a future agenda will likely include such a plan. Staff's recommendation is to move to approve the Calvary Church Phase 2 preliminary land development plan revised, contingent upon satisfactory completion of the comments from the June 6, 2024 letter of the Township engineer and the June 14, 2024 letter of the zoning officer. I'll point out that there is a plan on the board behind you. On the right, I highlighted in yellow what the 2013 proposal for Phase 2 is, and to the left of that, there's a red arrow pointing to the reduced size of the current proposal, and also Ron Borger from Pantera is on Zoom if you should have any specific questions about this particular proposal.
I'd entertain a motion to get this up for discussion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion. That was Bruce moved it and Dennis second.
I don't see a phase 2 parking.
It's up
There's
there.
phase 1
It's up in the
and a
corner.
phase 3 parking. What,
It's up,
Is
it's
it-
on there,
It's up on the corner, Dan.
yep,
Yeah,
not on the plan.
it's on here,
It's right here.
phase 2 parking right
It's
there.
right up, it's expanding the current parking lot, Denny. It's on the right side. Look at where the regular parking is. It's go up where it looks like it's the same parking that's there now, but they're expanding it. There's like a little crown on top of it. See where it says phase 2 parking?
I'm looking at 2 phase 3s right here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at phase,
If I may, if I could look at my plans quick, so I do apologize if you see me turning
Okay.
behind me, but
I got
I
it.
think that original parking, on that 2013, that was for a much larger, building size. So I do believe now that with the building size that is proposed, that there is adequate, existing parking there for not only phase 1, but also this small addition as part of phase 2.
So you're not playing with parking for phase 3 now that's on the plan? That's future.
Yeah, so at this time, I believe what Tony had relayed to me, there's no plans for phase 3. So
Okay,
moving forward.
okay.
Now, it's not to say in 10 years, they may come back in, but as far as right now, I think they just want to do phase 2, that small building addition, and then that's about it for the project for, the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think one of the things with this plan is the phase 3 was removed even back in 2022 because the phasing schedule was so far off from what the original proposal showed that it made sense to take phase 3 off at this point.
So are we or are we not adding that phase 2 parking that's up in the corner?
There's no additional parking
The
proposed
phase
as
2
far as-
parking that's on this chart, can you just cross off?
Well,
Phase 2
you're
is
leaving
being
the same.
added, isn't it? The phase 2 parking is being added?
No, are you looking at the plan, the portion on the right-hand side of the sheet?
Yes.
Because that's the 2013 version.
Oh, okay.
2024 version is what you're looking
Oh,
at.
okay, so we're over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't see what you're looking at, but
Okay.
there's
That-
like
that makes it
two
okay.
panels there. One's from 2013, and then that's the one that shows the phase 2
Okay, gotcha.
parking. The
Okay.
one on the left is the new concept.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we've looked at that. Parking is sufficient for phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay,
Stormwater okay?
any other comments, questions? Okay, well, hearing none, all in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's done. Request to close streets for the Glow Ride event.
The Bike Roost is planning to hold a Glow Ride event on August 17th from 7:30 PM to 9:30 PM. A similar Glow Ride event was also held last year. Bicyclists will start and finish the ride in the Diamond, traveling westbound on Main Street to Wagner Street, onto Pine Street, and then onto Church Street. For this event, the organizer is requesting the following street closures from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. West Main Street from the Diamond to Wagner Street, Wagner Street from Main Street to West Pine Street, West Pine Street from Wagner Street to Church Street, and Church Street from Pine Street to the Diamond. The organizer stated they will be notifying residents of the street closures in advance of the event. And with me to this evening, should you have any questions?
One loop?
It's gonna be up to the mic and. Happy's on if you want, it's just, everything's fine. Okay.
So it's gonna be continuous loop, same thing that we did last year, we're just kinda closing the streets for an hour and letting families ride around as many times as they'd like. And then, we request, so at 8 o'clock, we're essentially gonna be the staging area, people can show up, decorate their bikes, hang out. 8:30, we'll make the announcement for the ride to start, and then just at your own pace, if you wanna go as fast or slow, if you wanna walk it, or just hang out, and ride around. The Diamond just gives a family something to do, different on a Saturday night. It's essentially the same thing as last year.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, done.
Okay, well, the motion in the packet is to approve the closure of West Main Street from Diamond to Wagner Street, Wagner Street from Main Street to West Pine Street, West Pine Street from Wagner Street to Church Street, and Church Street from Pine Street to the Diamond for a glow ride event on August 17th from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
So moved. Oh, I got you.
Okay, Frank.
Do we have any
go ahead.
issues last year?
Frank and Tracy will give you the second, since you're a very close second.
Where do the glow rings come from?
Where do the what?
The glow rings come from?
So we're ordering them, and people are encouraged to bring their own, but you'll have them at the bike race you can purchase. So we'll have streamers, things you can put on your wheels, decorate your bikes, kind of wrap the frames, lights.
Can I get use a playing card and
Yeah,
clothespin?
clothespins and
Absolutely,
playing
yeah, we can get
cards.
that for you guys. Absolutely.
But you gotta get something for the balloon, flip the balloon around here, do those.
All right, is there any more serious discussion on this motion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you.
One last thing, to notify the residents, we were just gonna print flyers and drop them off in front of doors. Is there a better way? Is there something you?
Put them in the e-notice.
We can advertise this in the
Okay.
update, but I also think flyers and
Is
flyers
that-
and doors
is
is a
that
good
fine,
way of
or
making
is
sure
it-
anybody who doesn't get our e-update
Yeah.
will at least be aware.
Okay, like a week before, beginning of August, whatever you recommend,
Probably a
I'm
week
happy to follow.
Right
Okay.
before?
Did you see people
Or the
also
beginning of the
like to
week
tell
of
them?
the,
Yeah, I mean, we told people last year and kind of let people know, but I don't know, we want to let everyone know on the route so they're not surprised that night.
Put on your notice, second annual, so you know it's gonna happen next year too.
Yeah, that's true,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
okay,
Appreciate it.
yep. All right, and let's see, item D on the agenda, a request for, oh no, we got that, E, Center Region COG
No.
20.
Move to
Oh.
approve the use of the Bollesburg
Oh,
Fire
fire
Police on
police,
August
right.
17th from 7:30 to 9:30.
Second.
Okay,
You beat me.
discussion on that? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, now the Center Region COG 2025 Program Plan Review.
So at their June 18th, 2024 meeting, the COG Executive Committee forwarded the 2025 COG Program Plan to the Center Region municipalities for review and comment. Copy of the program plan was provided to the board members at the June General Forum meeting. Consensus comments from the board are due to the COG Executive Director by 8 a.m. Friday, July 19th, 2024, to be considered during the preparation of the draft 2025 COG budget. A program plan comment guide was provided to the board in your packet, and the board should provide whatever consensus comments you'd like to have on the final documents that can be sent back to the COG.
All right,
And I have I'm ready.
why don't we start with the yellow sheet here, we'll go down item by item. If anybody has any other comments to bring up, then we could do that after, how about that? So, the first one, should electric vehicle charging infrastructure be installed at the COG building with an estimated capital cost of $100,000. Comments, folks?
You wanna,
Should I just roll my eyes?
You,
I just
okay,
roll my
that's a
eyes.
comment, roll your eyes, you put that in.
I have, my comment says, hold this until the fleet is purchased.
Now, I wonder, they're repaving the lot?
Well, now see, there's another good question. If you're gonna repave the lot for 120, 30 grand, pick one. You don't get them both. In fact, I think you ought to postpone both of them, but
Well,
they need to make a choice. We don't want $200,000 for a pavement and a charging stations, and we don't have the cars. When we get the cars, we'll do the charging station. When we get the pavement gets real bad, we'll fix it.
I kinda like that comment. So, I mean, the parking lot doesn't seem that bad to me driving
We've got
on it.
streets in worse shape.
Yes, so,
I got told at the finance committee when I brought that up that I wasn't an asphalt engineer, which I had no idea what that had to do with whether we spend money or not.
yeah.
Well, I mean, any person you go to, if you're gonna consult with any asphalt engineer, or you're gonna consult with a company, they're gonna tell you you need to have it done anyway. You know,
Right.
they're not gonna let things get bad, they're gonna sit there and, I mean, I'm sorry, you know, I watch it all the time in my own house. I'm not gonna buy a new dishwasher until it's broken and it can't be fixed.
And as far as the overall stance of COG on charging stations, for me, in my personal opinion, and I guess it counts or whatever, is I think we should leave that in the public sector. Because we could put in all and spend all this money on infrastructure and put charging stations in. And I saw somebody come out with a biofuel car the other day that's gonna reduce the gases and be a lot more economical. So till this is all shakes out and we know exactly what's gonna happen, I think we let the private sector to take care of this until we shouldn't be throwing our money at it until the private sector figures it out.
Not unless we actually have electric cars that we wanna charge in the COG ourselves.
That's
But
another
right now, we
situation.
don't.
we have those now.
We
We
got
have
plug-ins.
hybrids,
They're plug-in
Yeah.
hybrids,
they're fine,
and they plug in just fine.
yeah.
The way they're doing it.
I'm not in favor of putting in charging stations until we find out what on earth yeah, there is different, technology out there right now, and we do not know where it's leading us, and this technology is supposed to come into play in a relatively short period of time. And that's a lot of money to put in, to have to alter something in the near future anyway.
You know, the breakdown on the funding of this is coming from three sources, isn't it?
Well, I'm not certain entirely where all the funding's coming from. I thought a lot of it was being funded out of the codes budget.
I think 50%.
Because they're the ones who have the plug-in hybrid vehicles now.
25 is admin, the other 25%
And code
is
has
low.
plug-in hybrids.
Look at this, they give you all this stuff. If you look in the book,
What
you
page
go to
you
the
on?
page that has that, it's on page 38. It has all the justifications and all that, why they wanna do it.
Yes.
See, they're already saying that they would require a minimum of 2 electric vehicles before the completion of the project. So they're putting them in and then they're gonna get the electric vehicles. No, we'll
Well,
get the,
that's a requirement of the grant.
yeah.
I mean,
No.
I don't know, I'm just baffled with the whole thing. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's like, you know, when it comes to, especially with code and buying cars in code, what say do I have? What say does anybody have? I mean, it's just I could go to a meeting and I could say, no, it doesn't really matter, because code basically supports itself. So what do I have to say?
Well, we still have to approve purchases.
Well,
guess we
yeah,
do.
sure, we
for the
have to
code
approve purchases, but
department.
really I don't feel like I have any say in that particular area or that particular matter anything in that area. So I feel like when it comes to this, I'm pushed in a direction that I don't really, since most of those automobiles are code automobiles, I feel like I'm pushed here and I don't think it's right. I feel like I'm pushed to do something that I really don't want to do
Right. Okay.
because of that.
We could, We could sum this up briefly, like, you know, we're not big fans of this idea, and we don't really think they should pave the parking lot either.
You could put a parking lot
Sum it
in.
up.
The parking lot's a different issue at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but,
I just, I'm in general agreement that, like, I don't see any rush to do this. We don't have the 2 electric vehicles. So, you know, and they talk about here about the plans to purchase vehicles, and I don't see any 2 electric vehicles in those plans. We're talking about plug-in hybrids. And so if they're not ready to go, why are we ready to go?
Exactly.
alright.
Good. So,
Everybody said their piece on this one?
all right.
Okay. The next, let's see. Consider,
Right here, tell
where
us
are
what
we?
page you go to.
Yeah,
That's the page you go to, that's what the.
I wasn't done with this one.
items within Suite 2 conference room be repaired and aging furniture replaced for $25,000.
Doesn't cost us a nickel, I don't care.
Well, I put defer, live with it. We're talking furniture, you know, how many people come to there to use that furniture other than staff?
That's 37.
Live with it. That's $25,000 that can go somewhere else and do something better.
But that's, I mean, that's still, like you said, what,
Doesn't come out of our
that's,
budget.
that's
I know
the
it doesn't come
problem I
out of the budget,
have,
but-
is like, what say do I have, I feel? You know, I mean, I feel like regardless of what I say, other townships are just gonna say, oh, go ahead and do it anyway, because it's, you know, so I feel like I don't have a say. I just feel like I don't have a say.
You do, it just may be ignored.
Thank you,
Right.
that's what I mean. I feel like I don't have a say.
Oh, but you're making a point that we're
A
not.
point
in-
that's ignored.
We're not in full agreement,
But it's
below.
still-
Well, I am, I agree with her, I don't need to buy new.
No,
furniture.
exactly, we're not in agreement that we should buy it,
Yeah.
exactly, so,
I mean, if a chair's broken, buy a chair, but $25,000?
We could say a
I
notable
could
lack,
buy-
notable lack of enthusiasm.
Do you know how many
Yeah, there
chairs
you
I
go.
could
I
buy
like
for
that. I
$25,000?
like that. We are very,
Okay.
they're very good, thank you.
okay.
$25,000?
Here's another.
That stickly stuff is expensive.
Now, the price tags are going down here, but anyway, the iPads used by the Center Region Code Agency new construction inspectors, should they be upgraded? Estimated capital cost of $18,000 and estimated operational cost of $2880.
Oh, this is all 3 of these items. This
Yeah.
is like, why do we need the best things in the world? You know, why do we need top shelf stuff? You know, we gotta get these pads so we can do it virtually on, you know, then we don't need as many inspectors. Cause if we're not doing it manually and we can do it this way, then we don't need as many guys out there cause they can do it quicker. Which is, you know, do we really need all this stuff? And I think we have a little bit better, more to talk about here about this. It doesn't come out of our budget. Because one of the things I looked at was, I looked at the fund balances in COG. Has anybody added up the total fund balances of all the agencies in COG? 7.932,732.40. $7.9 million they're holding in fund balance. That's 2 years of our budget. They're holding 8 million, and we're struggling to keep our budget going. We're gonna have a budget meeting, and we're having to raise taxes. We're subsidizing this crap. I think that we need to start sending a message that no, we don't want this stuff. They need to work within their means, and they need to get to the same way that we are, and how they need to be revenue based and not expenditure based. And this is just, well, we like this, and I hear that, and yeah, they're going to be setting code at the end of 24 is going to be setting at $2.5 million in their fund balance, even doing these things. So I think we need to figure out a way to fix fund balances. And you say, well, how can we fix codes? Because they do. Well, it's easy. We raise their rent. We raise the amount we charge them for the services, for doing their payroll, for doing the administration, for doing their HR. We start bringing that into the COG, and then that would build or less money we would have to pay. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight, but that's where I think we need to head.
Well, that certainly should be part of our discussion on Wednesday.
Yes, this should be
The,
part of
the
it.
issue right now is, without taking, just, that the upgraded iPads would be cellular equipped,
Yes,
all right? Now, most people have a cell phone that you can hotlink to.
yes.
I mean, my iPad is not cellular
Mine
equipped,
isn't
and
either.
I do just fine with it. When I need it, I use it through my iPhone.
And code inspectors all have a company issued cell phone.
Yes,
Yes, so, right.
yes, I agree. That's a
So-
better argument.
So why is not hot linking through their existing iPhones acceptable?
I don't
Okay.
think I don't think we should be purchasing new iPads unless we have to.
No.
I just don't think that I've had my iPad for quite a while, and it's almost time, but I've had it for like 8 years now, and it's almost time, but I just don't believe we should just be
Somebody tell
throwing
me what
things
an
out.
iPad is. I have no idea.
An iPad, oh my gosh.
I know what an iPad is.
There is no,
This phone does enough for me. I don't need a damn.
there is no local expenditure requested on this.
I know, it comes out of their
Comes
budget,
out of
but
that,
it's something we have to, like I said, we wanna send a message.
I don't understand the opposition because it's not affecting our income.
But that's the problem. Like I said, I feel like I have no say about any of this stuff. You know, I go to a meeting, I feel like I don't have a say, or I feel like my say is ignored. And I feel like regardless of what happens, my say, because it is code, will always be ignored. It doesn't matter what cars they buy, it doesn't matter if they buy crappy cars or good cars, it doesn't matter if they shop around properly or they do this or do that. They'll do what they please, and it doesn't matter what anybody's opinion is.
Well, code keeps a pretty large fund balance,
Yes.
some of it justifiably because they have out years with, they have to do inspections. But I still,
I've been hearing that for 8 years,
I
and the
know.
fund balance hasn't.
I know,
Well, yeah.
and this is, yeah, it's not affecting our budget, but it is affecting the budget of people in the community
Yeah.
Yeah.
who are rentals properties, who are commercial properties, who are new properties.
Or who are putting
And-
additions
and-
on.
And those are people that are also need to have our attention and reflection upon.
Exactly, yeah. We need, if you look at that, $8 million, that's taxpayer money, one way or the other, that is being held.
I was actually overly shocked at how much I was charged to get a permit. I was really shocked. That was like a budget buster.
So again, is our consensus that they should be able to operate now, hot linking through their
Exactly.
company provided phones?
Yes.
And it is not an urgent issue.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good to me. All right, next, should the AmeriCorps program sustainability position be funded for another year, August 2025 to August 2026, for a cost of $13,000?
I have no objection to that.
I do not have an objection to
I
that
think,
either.
I think that helps, like
Yeah,
some
it's-
youngster.
It helps somebody else and it helps the code, the office,
Shopping, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a
The,
problem with that.
planning office save money, so. All right. No objections to that. So next, Center County MPO organization, should consulting support for the development of transportation funding applications be funded for an estimated cost of $50,700?
Okay, I can speak to that.
Well, of course you
Okay,
can.
this was part of when we hired the grant specialist. We recognized that we couldn't hire enough people to do the whole job, and there was gonna be consulting we would still have to use on some of these grants. But we didn't know, there might be years we don't need it, there might be years we need it, but we estimated it to be around 50,000. We could spend it, we may not spend it. It's more of a putting it in there so they don't have to go back and get it in case they need it in a hurry. So it's in there, it's on the thing, and it'll probably be on that for the next several years, till we get a handle on what the cost and how much consulting time we're gonna need to do these highway project funds and that type of thing. So it was part of that overall redone. So I'm like you guys, I don't wanna spend another $4,000 for us, but I think it's something that we're gonna need to have.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Anybody else?
I'm fine.
Nods of the head, okay. All right, next then, should the CCMPO Benner Pike corridor study be funded for an estimated cost of $7,605?
Okay, oh, Bruce is looking at me again, okay. Well, this one I'm going a little bit different direction, okay? This is the match. They wanna do a bike study through Benner Township, so people can bike and everything, and it's in their township. And when you do projects in townships or municipalities, there's a match. This is what they're asking us for, is the match for that. And I said Benner should do it. If Benner, it's going through Benner Township, and Benner is the ones that are gonna benefit from it, why should the people of Harris Township subsidize Benner? Benner does not, they are not a member of the MPOs, which means they don't wanna sit in and pay the dues like we pay every year. The county has to pay for it. The county's helping them with this, so guess what? I think they should do it. We don't wanna raise taxes here to fund that for them so that they don't have to raise taxes. So in my opinion, this is a no. I would not want this to go through for that. I think Benner should take care of their own.
I agree, either Benner, and if the county thinks it's that important, the county can step in.
I concur.
All right. Flip it over here. Should the Center County Passenger Rail Access Study be funded for a cost of $3,042?
I'm getting all these. This is, okay, what's
Oh, wait, I have a question about this.
Okay, go ahead. Good.
Okay, so I read this, okay, and I really don't understand. I don't get it. Because, yes, more people go from, you know, Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, Pittsburgh to Philadelphia to New York City, or whatever. Has anybody ever asked for this? I mean,
Yes,
I can
we-
go, but I can go to Lewistown,
1985, we did a study.
85.
1985, 35 years ago. I've got the folder at home, and after a couple of years deciding, the simple discussion came that they can't get here with rail because they need a 1.5% grade to bring a train in, which meant they were tunneling through mountains to get here, and they just backed off and dropped it. They couldn't physically do it.
So why are we doing any kind of study when Lewistown is right there?
Well, the other thing,
turn-
that the end of the,
For Tyrone?
the end of the discussion was that they were going to do a fulling the bus route
Yeah,
from here to Lewistown. That was the connection that was going to appease us with respect to rail.
but is it that, are
And-
that many
and
people using it?
That has never come to fruition.
But has there been a study, like, do people, I don't even know, because I've only taken it once, and I did really like it, actually, but that's beside the point. But, I mean, are there 5 people a week taking it, or are there like 400 people a week taking it? I mean, do we know these numbers? Your turn.
Okay, what has brought this back to the surface is in 2025,
Yeah.
I think it is, they're doubling the amount of runs from Pittsburgh. In other words,
Yes.
there's 1 a day now, there will become 2 a day. And the ridership is very significant, and it's getting larger. And my son's taking that, and I've taken him over to the train station in Lewistown. A lot of people from Center County over there getting on those trains and getting off of them. So what the study is gonna look at is, can we hook up with the Bald Eagle line and have something that would catch and go over that way, or CATA? Would we run a bus once a day or twice a day to go over and bring people back? So there's a couple talks like that, and it's more of an inclusive, other than just putting the rail in. I don't know, you know, it would be Lewistown or Tyrone. It would be one of the two. Is the stations that you would want to connect onto the line. I mean, you could go on up the line further. You know, you could go up to up above there in Altoona and all those. Yeah. So there's
Well, it
other
makes
places
the
you.
most sense 'cause it's,
What's that?
it's an intermodal thing there, so the buses and the trains are at
Yeah.
the same area.
Right, so that's what that's part of the study. CATA's gonna be looking at it for a bus service, or can we do a rail somewhere that people could get at the northern end of town and go to Tyrone? That's the
Wait,
study.
But my problem is before we spend a dime, shouldn't we just find out how many people are actually taking this
We can
train
get
per
those numbers
day?
available. I'll talk to MPO.
Yeah,
have
and
them
that,
send
because
it.
I don't wanna spend a dime until we know
There's
these
thousands.
actual numbers.
It's
We're
thousands.
maybe thousands a year during the year, but maybe these people are coming from Lewistown. Maybe these people are coming from, don't need the transportation. Maybe these people are coming from, we don't know where they're coming from.
Well,
So,
Well, there's a lot of the university people go there, and when they go to New York City, that's where they go.
That's where we go.
I would-
If you're interested, I'll give you the 1985 folder.
I don't need the 1985. I wanna know today what we're
That, we
doing
looked at
today.
all that data and decided it could not be done.
Well, I understand that. That's a given, but I would like to know.
And they talked about the Bald Eagle connection.
Yes,
And-
they're talking about looking at,
Going the wrong way.
it's more of a feasibility
Yeah.
study. What's the best way
How
to
many
get
studies do
people
we
there?
have to have?
Well, I'm just saying.
The best way was a
I
bus,
agree,
and,
but
and,
this
and Fullerton wasn't interested in it.
The cost of this one would get us the kind of numbers you're saying we need to have.
Well, I would want some of the numbers prior to even starting the study.
It's $272 is what it costs.
I don't care.
Well, I'll
I
tell
mean,
you
we've got
what,
5 billion studies. For what purpose?
I will talk to Jim Saylor, I'll email him when I go home tonight. Have him send us the ridership
I
numbers
appreciate that.
and get them
Where
to
they're
you.
where people are coming from.
They're coming from Pittsburgh or Philadelphia and going
I
no
want to know
way.
the ridership from this area.
I don't know if they could get you that.
Well, they
Because-
should be able to have the number of tickets
Because all I
sold.
can tell you is when I'm down there, about 70% of the ridership's from Center County.
They get on, they get off the
Yeah,
train. We don't
they
know
get
where they,
But does that mean there are like 5 people getting on and off, or what?
Some days there's 5, some days there's 10, some days there's 1 or 2.
when I was there on,
It depends.
when I was there on Friday, it was about 25 people.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on the day of the week and the time of the year, what's going on.
I think it's worth spending a small amount of money to get more information. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not asking for a huge study, we're asking for, get us some data so we can make better decisions.
Well, I guess I
Without that
just don't understand,
information-
what, if CAT is doing something in reference to this as well, why are
And
we
this is gonna
doubling
be part-
this?
CAT is part MPO.
Okay, so,
When we do MPO, we do
okay, So-
highways and transit.
so what is CAT paying for this?
I don't know, probably their share, whatever this.
A
comes out.
portion of this?
Yeah. It's MPOs, they'll divvy it up between the different partners. That's why the 272 is our part of that number, the $3,000.
Okay. Well, I'm under the, I feel that it's a fairly small amount of money to
Yeah,
get
everything's the same
information on how to
money, isn't it?
proceed in the future.
It'll give us the justification for not funding it,
Right. There you go.
or to fund it.
Okay. You got all that, Mark?
I do.
Okay, very good. All right, now the refuse and recycling budget. Should a temporary refuse and recycling program assistant be funded for a cost of $27,438 and an operational cost of $2,400?
And that comes out of the waste refuse budget.
Mm-hmm.
They have a surplus on it.
Okay,
There's no impact on us.
so no impact, but what's the justification for asking for this? Don't
The
recall.
increased expected customer questions on when the new system starts in August.
Yeah. That could be interesting.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's basically to help Shelley respond to inquiries.
As I
Right.
noted in my comments, we've already had people calling to ask questions about
Oh, yeah.
the contract, even months in advance. So
Uh-huh.
I think
Don't wait.
there'll be a lot of calls, so they'll be inundated.
Give them a different phone number. Okay, so it's fine with me. Anybody else?
Or do we have to collect them, or are people allowed to keep them?
No, that's the next question.
That's
You're getting ahead.
the next question.
Oh, which one are we doing?
The first one under refuse and recycling for
Oh.
an assistant, temporary assistant be funded to
I
answer
was looking something.
answer multitudes of questions expected.
I'm supportive of this, so I think it's misleading to say that it'll have no impact on township obligations, because while they may have wiggle room in the budget now, at the bottom, at the end of the line, we're gonna be paying our share of it. So, and I'm supportive, I dislike that characterization. We always end up paying.
Yes, we do. It's one big pot. That's what bothers me is with all the other stuff.
But there's gonna be a lot of, I got questions. I've got a wife who's gonna have a lot of questions. And I'd rather she had someone to call.
Great. You said that in a public meeting. Is she jumping in this evening?
No, I'm good
Anyway,
for now.
I thought I had something.
Yeah.
but I don't.
all right. That seems fine to me. Understandable. Okay, next, the refuse and recycling program for removal of refuse containers contract for removal of refuse containers for $10,000. So this is removal of everybody's old refuse containers that they own to be replaced by the ones that we buy for the new program.
That's if the current container does not fit the technical ability to pick up. Some
Oh, I
people
see.
have that new cover.
We have parts and they're being picked up with the machine on the trucks right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And
Quite a few are.
yeah, it's nice for the collectors that they, right now, because otherwise they're just heaving and heaving, but, so this gives them a break. So, I wasn't aware of this, so we have the option of keeping our own containers if they
If
meet
it's
the
liftable
specs,
with the
It's
machine.
yours.
if they,
Does
Yeah.
that say, do we get less charge out
No.
of it?
No, because they're not gonna collect them.
No, I'm talking about if
No.
I use my own cans, I don't need to pay for cans then, right?
Yeah, but are they gonna pick up the trash in your
Oh,
can?
yeah, they will.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mine have been picked up forever.
The difference, your new can will be gray with a red top. Old
Mine are
cans
green.
But it'll also be able to be picked up by the
Yeah.
hooks
Hewlett
and
Packard.
automatically dumped in.
I don't know, I've got a couple of them and.
I have two cans that were made in the '90s, and I'll put them up against that. They were semi-automatics. The company I made made them for waste management. They'll take a beating
Are
and
they
keep
metal?
on to. Nope, they're plastic.
So
Really
I
heavy
could use a
plastic.
burn barrel, so.
I think the interesting thing is what do you do
So-
with the old carts after you pick them up?
Oh,
So,
no,
wait,
my-
so,
Collecting them isn't the issue. What are you
So-
gonna do with them?
Yeah.
well, I guess my question is this, I realize we don't have a big trash day anymore, but it's my understanding that you can, like, twice a year, you can put out something and you can call them and have it picked
Yep.
up. So my question is, why are we paying $10,000 when each resident has the ability, like, if I've reused my trash cans, of course, down at Duffy's, we've had different things, but, some people may have the ability to use it in a different capacity, but my question is, if they have the ability to dispose of them, I'm not so sure that we should be spending $10,000 of taxpayer money.
I like your point.
Yeah,
Put it out for bulk
You know,
waste, fill it up with crap and say this is bulk waste.
Let people keep
Yeah,
them.
there you go.
and have
Or
your,
you could-
have your bulk
Or you
waste,
could
and
cut them
there
up
you
and
go.
put them in your new can.
There you go, thank
know,
you.
Like, right,
Or you can sell them to non-center region municipalities that don't have mandatory trash
Or just-
pickup.
There you
or
go.
You can
or
put
Shake
donate.
miner in.
Okay, Mark
You can-
has
I
a
was just
point.
gonna make a clarification. I believe the money they're using for this is recycling rebates
Yeah,
they
that's it.
received from the recycling program
The money
to
we-
try to recycle these cans, was my
Are they gonna
understanding.
try to recycle these cans?
That was my
and
understanding, is
get
they were gonna try to get a contract to get them recycled.
out? Okay,
So I think
That's
what
a
it
little
was
bit
is more
different.
for the residents to get rid of them all at once rather than whenever they call and ask them to come pick them up.
I think what we ought to do for the fall bulk pickup, which will be our last one, is tell everybody to put their cans out the night before and see if the scavengers take them. So we get taken care of.
There's gonna be
Okay.
a lot of plastic cans
Well,
thrown around.
I mean, I think it's good if they're gonna, they contract to have them have people, be able to put out their old cans to be recycled rather than just dumped.
Yeah.
I think
And
our,
it
I
comes
think,
out of it comes out of a, money from the
rebate program.
rebate program.
I think our residents are gonna like the service of being able to just get
Yeah.
rid of them and not have to,
I-
not have to cut them up, not have to melt them
What's
down
the
or
other
whatever.
Guys could use them for targets.
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
Where does it say that they're looking to recycle them? Cause I did not read that. I read on the next page where it says,
That's our member on that.
Pardon? I hear,
I see the recycling rebates, but it doesn't say,
recycling rebates come from our authority.
yes,
They're generated by the surplus.
but it
of
doesn't,
school
I didn't
products.
read anywhere where it said they would be recycled.
As opposed to landfill.
Oh, it
Yes.
does say collection disposal.
Yeah.
I've read, okay. I thought it was recycling.
Okay, that was the problem I had, was the,
Yeah.
That's a future topic, believe me.
okay, that was,
I think
I didn't read that they would be recycled, so it would be.
so.
We have consensus?
I don't know. I mean, if,
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't,
I'm fine with it.
yeah, but encourage them to actually recycle them instead of putting them in the landfill. I don't know.
I don't know if there's anything we can do about that.
No, maybe,
Make them available to the municipalities outside of the center region, give them to people.
Yeah, so sell them to, put them on the municipal,
I mean, any.
whatever lot, Co-Stars, whatever it is, put them out there, and somebody might buy them.
Any
See the ones I
municipality-
have.
If you don't have
You can
mandatory,
keep
As
those.
is, we would put as is.
if you don't have mandatory trash pickup, and you have your own hauler do it,
Yeah.
give them to the people out in the county, they can use them.
I'm sure if you put them out on, somebody would buy them.
I don't want to buy.
They might pay 10
I'm not
cents on a
gonna,
dollar or
I won't be
something,
the
but
one,
you can get rid of
yeah,
them.
I won't be the one who's gonna decide which ones get sold, which ones.
As
You do.
is, you just put as is.
yeah. Yeah. Should we or should we not recommend that spending of $10,000?
For what? Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
we're okay with that.
We're all good with that? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, should the refuse and recycling program, food waste drop-off program be funded for operational costs of $12,000? So I guess that would be an annual cost and then a capital cost of only $4,000.
And this is this a
Food
continuation of what we already have?
Food waste drop-off program. Do we actually,
That's a whole interesting issue with respect to what DEP is allowing us to do, that we cannot implement a model program. We had a model program laid out, 650 houses in Park Forest to do organic waste pickup. And DEP disallowed it because we were using a truck that was bought with 901 money versus 902 money. So there's a lot of politics between even getting this thing off the road.
My only question on this, and it's been since the first time we talked about it, is, you know, you're gonna have a drop-off place, and you have this can or whatever it is out there. Everybody's putting their food waste in it, and you take a day like today when it's 90-some degrees out. Besides the stench and then animals coming, I don't know if this is a good thing. I just don't know that we might be causing ourselves other problems, because you'd almost have to pick it up on a daily basis. You know, regardless if there's one thing in there or 100 things, you'd almost have to pick it up daily to keep that.
The only people that can pick it up now are State College, because they have the vehicle to do it.
Yeah.
well, they,
Our authority does not have the vehicle to pick it up.
so they pick up all organics. This is just food waste
waste,
drop-off,
yeah,
but
yeah.
not all organics.
It says they will be doing the collection, though. It says State College Borough will collect and process the materials from each site for $110 a week.
But that's only food waste. We're not allowing any
Correct.
organics,
Right.
in this, like, so it's basically very limited.
I guess where I'm standing on this is, I want to see more data. I'm not sure that we're at a place where we're ready to launch this. You know, we need to do some more research on it. I personally, I mean, I don't see where.
Well, food,
I mean, there's too many downsides to it, in my
Right.
opinion. In
I
fact,
have
I think
item
when we did it
question.
the last time, didn't we figure out that the amount of trucks that would take to pick it up throughout the county gave off more greenhouse gases than we were saving? If I remember from that original study.
The original 10 years
Yeah.
ago study.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm not sure we're ready to run this out. I just don't know we're ready.
I agree, and I also feel that, you know, most households, either they have a garbage disposer and use it for food scraps and waste, or they compost themselves. And so how much demand for a program like this would there really be?
I have a
I think
question.
I think the benefit is questionable.
Yeah, it's not that I'm against recycling and all this. I would, if we could solve the problems that are in it, fine, but I don't think we can, you know.
Okay.
Do they collect in College Township, house to house, for food?
No, just in State College Borough.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, in State College, okay.
State College Borough, they collect all organics in one bin weekly with the regular garbage collection at the
that's right,
same
okay.
time.
Yep.
It's not the exact, but,
So every house
so you can
has-
put anything in it, food scraps, weeds, you know, grass clippings, leaves, anything.
And you have two containers.
Even
a trash
sticks.
container
Yeah.
and an organic
And-
container.
And, I'm sure it's, and of course, then they have their own composting facility that they do that, and then borough residents can actually go get it, go get compost.
And they have much more dense routes.
Yes, yeah.
No, I was wondering if my parents do it, and I just,
I mean, had one at my dad's in State College, you know, and use it. Very, very convenient for there, but like, in our case, well, it depends, you know, our yard is so big and, you know, we have such a lot of, woodsy area that we can compost our own anything,
Right.
right in our own property, and it's harmless. You know.
Everything goes in my garden.
Yeah.
Comes from the garden and goes to the garden.
That's right. Okay, so we're not really big on this, sounds like.
I'm
Okay.
comfortable with that.
All right, Center Regional Planning Agency, no, we did that one. I flipped the
Turn
thing
the
the other
page.
way.
page 1, 2.
Okay, Parks and Recreation operating budget. Should a program specialist for Parks and Recreation be hired in April 2025 for an estimated personnel cost of $119,369, an operational cost of $1,900, estimated revenue of $18,610, I love this, and with an estimated net impact of $102,659 and an ongoing annual net impact of $107,592. Well, they got all the numbers in order, didn't they? So. Comments?
Do we want to be nice or do we want to throw it out there?
I'll throw it right out there.
Go ahead.
My first question was, like, when I started reading this, I read that, and then I went back to turn the page, and all of a sudden, they're like, they're proposing an entry-level program specialist position in 2025 to support the programming and sports division of the agency, and I guess they're this program specialist in 2025, but what is this other one that they're looking for over here, or is this the same one? It's unfunded requests. So I guess I don't understand how many program specialist positions do they need?
How many do we have?
I mean, I guess and then all of a sudden, 5 years, there's a marketing and fundraising specialist, another sports specialist in 27, then I understand the park specialist too.
No.
But how many specialists do we need? And I don't maybe I just don't have the information, and I'm tired of not having the information because they say that's just what they need.
Well, I mean, there are revenues for Parks and Rec programs, but the revenue of $18,000 to fund this, towards funding this position of $119,000 really doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to me. So the taxpayers are gonna fund $100,000 for program specialists for programs that most people don't use anyway.
Well, I brought this. We all received one in the mail.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you wanna hear some of these good programs? We have Introduction to Circus Arts. Wonder how many people attend that. Yoga for 3 to 5 year olds. How many 3 to 5 year olds we have doing yoga? Couple of the other ones, where's my favorite here? Here's some juggling skills. How many people go to juggling?
But you don't know, that's the
Well,
problem.
that's the point.
You
And
could
the
have
po-
500 people go to that, or
I'm gonna
none.
make that point. That's my point. I wrote, no additional employees until we see the cost breakdown of the current events as well as the attendance of each program. My gut feeling is with as many programs that are in this thing that we're providing, I think every time they hire somebody new, they have an idea. I got a program and they put it in. I want to see, and we've asked for this, you know, can we get a P&L, whatever you want to call it, justifying which program's making money, which one's being attended. If we have programs that we have waiting lists, and we have programs over here that 1 or 2 show up for, well, instead of hiring more people, you shut that one down and you put that person to the one that's on the waiting list. We should not be making these decisions. This is the staff. This is the Park and Rec. They need to make these decisions and make the hard decisions. They shouldn't be coming to us every year and say, we want another 110,000, another 120,000, we want to hire a new person, we want to do this. In the fiscal year 2022, the COG budget for employment went up 24% in 1 year, and the next year it went up 8%. So if you look since about 2019, 2020, how much the COG employment budget's gone up, it's gone through the roof. So I'm saying on this, we need to say, no, now's the time. You start making the decisions, you start evaluating your programs, or if you want us to add more money and do it, then you bring those numbers to us so we can make a decision, one way or the other. I think that's where I stand on.
I'd like to see all the information on that on an annual basis anyway.
Yeah, I think we should.
I would like to be
Well-
given that information. I mean, sometimes you make a mistake and you think something's a good idea. It's not perfect. I mean, I think that that's a good thing. I think that shows a sign of growth and your understanding, but I'd like to see the numbers that we're looking at with these
See,
programs.
I think that the problem here, and Bruce is the expert here, we're gonna let him go on this, but here's the issue. You got a Park and Rec authority that decides this stuff, but we're the funding source. We're like the bank. So what happens is then we get involved in having to make these decisions, where I think that it should go and the Park and Rec should make them, but we should be telling them, this is how much money you're getting, and they should make the decisions and move the programs around and the people to cover them. So with that, I'll let Bruce go.
Well, okay. Park and Recreation Program, like the rest of the government, is not a profit-making enterprise. And there are some things that we do that are good things. I'll give one example. We do swimming lessons.
Absolutely.
Swimming lessons keep children from drowning.
Yes.
Good thing to subsidize.
Mhm.
There is a waiting list for a lot of activities. There are also other activities that have a small number of participants. Now, we don't know what's the level of support. If that small level of participants is taking 5% of the time of one of our average employees, maybe that's, but we don't have that data, and that's what they need to bring to us, is here's the number of people, here's the staffing required to support that. And we look at the ratio of those, and you think about some of the externalities like swim lessons and things like that. But we're kind of operating blind. You look at some of those things, and yeah, there's some things in there that are a small number of people. If it's like some park program or two or whatever spends a couple of hours throwing it together 1 week, all right. But we don't have that information, and we need that information. We need that better in order to be able to make these decisions. Or they need that information to show us that they are making logical decisions.
I mean, look, can I just ask, like, if some of these, like, No, I agree with you totally about some of the programs should be subsidized by us. I totally agree with that. But if we look at some of the stuff that, like the juggling skills and well, I'm just gonna pick on this. I'm sorry about that. Maybe I shouldn't be picking on this. But I will pick on this. Like, the fee is fairly high for a resident. So, I guess my point is, what I'd like to see is, does this in fact, where are we with this? Are there enough people in this to say that this person, the person we're paying to instruct this is, I mean, it's not that difficult. We had 10 people, so we got this amount of money. This is the amount that we had to pay our person. This is the amount we had to pay for the facility, bam, done.
Yep, so we need the cost recovery information.
And if we recover a cost, then okay, fine.
And we need to know, I mean, that person, and I don't know, the person leading that may be a volunteer.
Exactly.
I mean, that's another thing, is it?
But I'm not sure we hired a lot of jugglers on the staff.
I understand. Yeah, and that's the point. And the other thing that you're saying is, like, let's use your swimming thing, okay? If they come on and they say, you know, we need more money to put that swimming instruction, and they come to us and they say, look, this is a worthwhile project, and we need X amount of extra money to run this program, and we would like you to subsidize it. Then we can make that, yes, that's a good program, yes, we'll subsidize it, but we don't carte blanche subsidize every time somebody wants to throw a new program.
Well, I think another way of looking at it is, if this is the budget you have, how are you gonna make your priorities?
Yes, exactly.
Well, the other issue, like what he's saying is, I'd like to hear more, like, I would like to know, like with, like aquatics, like swim lessons in particular. We have, you know, this number of kids who are waiting in line for, you know, to take lessons, and a substantial number of kids. We need to, we would like to have these kids take lessons, we would like to, but I'd like to know the exact number of kids, the exact number of instructors, how much we're paying the instructors, and I think that I deserve to have that information in front of me, so I understand better about what I'm subsidizing.
And I agree, but I'll add on, they need to have that information.
That's what I mean. Then I don't think they do.
Well, I think it's again, I'll go back to my statement. We shouldn't be doing this. This shouldn't be our discussion.
Mhm.
You know, all that should happen from our discussion is, here, we're gonna run all these programs and we have everything figured out in our budget, but we're coming up short on these two critical programs. Will you subsidize? That should be our decision.
Wait. We have all these things in our program and everything, and we're doing this, but this one's losing something, this one's losing, this one's losing, this one's losing, this one's losing. But now we want you to fund this so we can have losing projects.
Well, again, that would be part
I
of
need
it.
to see a little bit more than just, you know, them saying that we've got.
I doubt that there's any that are making a profit.
Well, no, I would like to see like break even, you know, juggling should maybe break even.
Well, just, what's the ranking? How do you,
Yeah, I get it, but like, you understand what I'm saying.
yeah. So, I would summarize this saying that the agency needs to compile and make available a cost-benefit analysis of these programs.
Yes.
Program by program.
And include in that the number of waiting list people. You know, and
And the number of staff allocated to each program.
number of staff hours,
Hours, yeah, staff hours.
or even staff dollars, because some staff make more than others.
Exactly.
But there should be amount of staff hours, yes, and then staff dollars in addition to that.
Yeah,
Because I don't know how much somebody makes.
And you know, with that, if they want to, I mean, I would like to see their priority list. You know, do that and tell us the programs that they know that are most important, most socially redeeming, you know, all that they would prioritize, instead of us trying to prioritize, let them
Yes.
prioritize it, they're the experts.
I agree with that.
yep, and I'm gonna go to the authority meeting later on this week, and I'm gonna put my other hat on.
Okay,
You
so,
don't have one on now.
so bottom line is we're not really hot on this item.
Bottom line is the agency needs to be able to provide us more information about prioritizing the programs before they can start arguing for an additional staff member.
Well, they want 5, if you look over
And
the next
what-
5.
Yeah, they
Oh, I
do.
know.
And what do we get for 119,000?
Yeah, good. Okay,
Yeah,
And I don't even understand, like, you're sitting there asking for these employees, but you're not giving me a growth plan. You're not giving me any kind of plan at all of where you see, you're not giving me, I have
Yeah.
nothing.
and if they can show up with information that says this is really worth doing, and we can say, yeah, I understand, that would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
But we don't have that kind of detailed information.
okay. 5-year staffing and study plans comments.
I put same as above, the same conversation we just had.
Anybody else?
We can't project that.
Yeah. Okay,
Whatever you can fit into the budget, we're gonna give you.
oh, wow, you're just,
fit into a reasonable budget.
More or less, here's the
oh, I
budget.
wanna know, before, I mean, they can fit anything in a reasonable budget, but I just wanna know that we
But
need it.
Make a decision.
Okay, last thing, any additional miscellaneous comments anybody have on the program plan?
Yeah, I have something I've looked at, and I went through and looked at the fund balance that they're handling. And I looked at the fund balance as of the end of 12/31/2024, so it's at the end of the year, not what they have now. And I came up with, and since we just talked about Park and Rec, at the end of the year, Park and Rec will have 1.604,169.85, $1.6 million in their fund, that's combined, that's all their fund balances. That's 20% of the total fund balance for COG.
And what part of the COG budget are they?
I don't know that, I didn't pull that up yet. How, do you know that number?
I don't know offhand, but I bet you it's a lot higher than that percentage.
Probably is. Well, I don't know, with fire in there, that might not be,
Yeah.
that might pull it down, but, and then code has 31.6% of the fund balance. They're at $2.5 million. And fire is the other big one. The rest of them are there, but they're not nearly, library, all of them aren't nearly as high as those three, but those are the big three. I guess my question is, and the total for it is $7.9 million. That's 2 years of our budget. You know, maybe at some point, and you know, they always argue about you need fund, we've talked about fund balance, but do they need that much? You know, maybe part of what we're talking about here is looking at a fund balance policy for COG, which we have, that we put them in, that it's maybe 10% of their total annual budget or 15 or whatever the number is. But they're holding taxpayers' money, and $8 million worth of taxpayer money could go a long way in our township. You know, so I think it's time that they have to understand that although I love fund balances and I think they're great, I think we've gone a little bit too far here, personally.
Maybe we get a good rate on a loan from
Yeah,
Code.
yeah. Well, code will lend you money. Can Harris Township borrow from the code? I don't think so. Just checking. But I just found that as I was looking through this, and I saw those. I saw the big. I went, wait a minute. So I added it all up and did some percentages.
But almost 2.5 million of that is in the code.
Yes, it is.
That should not be holding that kind of a balance.
Again, you know, and everybody says, well, they
What are
don't
they gonna
discuss
do
us
with
anything.
$2.5 million?
Right, but our citizens are paying the permits to do jobs and paying the.
Well, yeah,
paying
but
us.
that's still our citizens.
Yes, it is our citizens. So that's
That was
Okay.
fun.
All good?
Well, I just have one more question. Is
Sure.
code meant to be a profit-making enterprise?
No.
It is a.
Cost center.
It is a cost
It
center.
is enterprise.
It is an enterprise, yes, it is.
So is it meant to be a profit-making enterprise?
No, it's meant
No.
to cover their own costs.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, clearly it's doing more than that, and clearly it's abusing its, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's just the idea that, you know, it's, and we'll talk probably more about this on Wednesday, but we gotta get the mentality out of them that they should be revenue thinking. They shouldn't be expenditure thinking. Like the one area where I see that we need that where we should be looking at that $8 million is our capital expenditures, is putting that capital fund so we aren't throwing big numbers in it every year, that can fund our roof repairs, you know, whatever, new machinery, but that should go into that should be our capital expenditures. It should not be just sitting in our accounts.
I'll add one thought. We should hold off on sending these comments until after our meeting on Wednesday.
I agree with that.
Well, I mean, the other issue in these fund balances, like Frank said, I mean, you've got, what, 2.5 million in code, but you also have 2 million in fire capital.
Well, fire capital's a different, that one's gonna have to be
You know
there.
what a fire truck
I
costs?
understand that, but what I'm saying is, you're saying that you've got 2 years of our budget, but some of this stuff has to be there, so you're gonna have to reduce
I
that
understood.
by that,
I
okay?
was using
That's
that
all I
as an
was saying,
example
yeah.
to where we're at.
But, yeah, that's all I was saying, is that has to be there.
Okay. All right, thanks for patience going through all that. So, move right along to proposed ordinance 367, amending the SLO Center Regional Library Articles of Agreement. I don't know if we need.
Move to adopt ordinance 367, amending the SLO Center Region Library Articles of Agreement.
Second, Frank.
Okay, and to clarify, that was all stated and read in the public hearing at the beginning, so we're not going to reread that whole thing. So, any more comments on that?
I think most of that suggestion came from Harris Township.
Yeah.
When we talked to the library people.
Yeah. Okay. So all in favor of adopting ordinance 367, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Appointment of the Ad Hoc Agricultural Security Area Advisory Committee.
Your turn, Frank.
I move to appoint Jeff Biddle, Steve Weaver, Cindy Harding, Mike Green, and Supervisor Haymeister to the Ad Hoc Agricultural Security Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion there? Looks like a good committee to me.
What's a dynamic group?
Yeah.
Oh, you got Biddle on there, he'll help you out.
Yeah. Well, you got Mike Green now.
Oh, yeah, Mike Green and Biddle, that'll go good.
Yeah.
And we get the library involved too, so.
Uh-huh. All right. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay, resolution 2410, PennDOT Traffic Signal Maintenance Agreement Authorization.
The township was recently awarded an automated red light enforcement, or RLE grant, to designate, design, and install a bike pedestrian crossing point on Bull Avenue at the Pennsylvania Military Museum entrance and Old Bullsburg Road intersection. In order to proceed with utilizing the grant, the township must update its traffic signal maintenance agreement with PennDOT. PennDOT requires that the township adopt a resolution delegating a municipal representative to submit the agreement. Resolution 2410 designates the township manager as the official authorized to submit the TSMA on behalf of the township.
Motion to approve.
Yep, there we go. You gotta be quick.
Second.
Okay. Dennis moved, Frank
Can I ask
second.
a question?
Yes, discussion.
So this is for the crosswalk that goes from the military museum across, okay. How does this work? How are they gonna make this work?
So now that we were waiting to get authorization from PennDOT to actually spend money, and that's what this last agreement is for. Now that we have the ability to start spending money that can be reimbursed by PennDOT, we will go about working with, probably with our traffic engineering consultant. He'll help us put together a scoping package to get a design consultant to come on board, look at options for what would work in that location, identify what should be constructed, and then move forward from there and go through the typical bidding process like we've done for road construction. But there will be a design that will come forward out of this study to design this crosswalk and any of the lights or other types of technology that will be used to make it, a safe crosswalk area.
Because the only reason why I'm asking, my biggest concern with something like this across, 4 lanes, okay, is like, sure, here I'm walking from the military museum and I'm going across the 2 lanes and I can see, I've got a box truck sitting right there. And I take for granted that car on the other side of that box truck is gonna stop and whammo. And I just wanna make sure that we are safe from stuff like that. Because I
I understand. I don't believe this crossing is gonna, you know, like any intersection is gonna be 100% perfect, where you should just trust that the drivers are gonna obey what's up on the, you know, on the signage or what have you, but it should improve the safety there significantly, and that's really the goal here.
There's,
You have people coming from all over the country, and some crosswalks are not, I mean,
sure, but one possibility for something like this would be a, you know, an activation button that would start flashing lights, pedestrians crossing, to alert drivers, and hopefully people will slow down when they see it.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
We're seeing more and more of these around the region.
Yeah,
yeah, no,
there's a bunch on Atherton Street now.
no, they're effective. They do get your attention, get drivers' attention.
I found it interesting, I was driving in a 55-mile-an-hour zone today, on 2 lanes, and there was a crosswalk.
Yeah,
It's 55 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and there's just a crosswalk, and I'm
no.
like, wow.
It's
That's-
Hopefully the pedestrians crossing realize it's a 55 zone, you need a lot
You
of
go, would you be
space.
trusting somebody to stop?
Yeah, well, no,
The effectiveness is gonna be the police monitoring it and watching it. If there's no enforcement, it's a blinking light.
It's also knowledge. Knowledge that you are required to stop
Yeah.
at a crosswalk.
oh, right,
It's everywhere. The one on Park Avenue that was put there on McKee Street, you're supposed to stop there if somebody's in it. Nobody, people don't stop there. And I always do, but there are people, in fact, I'll stop and somebody comes the
People
other
are
way,
good.
looks at me and they'll stop, you know, because
Yeah.
but people, bikes, anything crossing there, you're supposed to stop.
we need to get a delegation from Bellefonte Borough to come over and tell us how they get all their people to stop at all the pedestrian crosswalks and,
In Princeton,
fine.
if you go to Princeton, there are signs, and if you go to, like, the different, there are signs right
Oh,
there
sure.
in the crosswalk that says, you know, you are required to stop for anybody in the crosswalk. There are signs all over the place. But here we don't really have that many signs.
okay. Well, anyway,
Did we vote on
kind
it?
of digressed a little bit off the,
Sorry, that was my
we're
question.
trying to authorize, you know, we want to authorize, Mark basically to be the, authorized individual to submit traffic signal maintenance agreements with PennDOT. So, did we get a motion and a second on that
We
already?
did,
Okay.
yes.
So barring any more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. So, request to close Meadowlark Lane for a block party.
I move to approve the closure of the street in front of 221 Meadowlark Lane on July 20th from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. for a block party.
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
Another good neighborhood party.
Uh-huh.
are we invited, by the way?
All
You just drop in.
Really just
Oh,
Just
drop
drop
it.
swing
in.
by.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion enough? Let's say all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving right along, doing well. Manager's report? Anything you want to highlight? Anybody have any questions?
The other thing I'm gonna highlight real quick is that the parking lot is coming along, as I'm certain you all noticed, but I did come by on July 4th after watching the fireworks, and the lights are not very bright, and I was kind of glad to see that. I was worried I'd see a glow coming from the village. They're very subdued. They're a kind of an orange LED, which I think is gonna be great. It won't cause a lot of light pollution here in the village, which I was surprised about. And then also, we're gonna get the signage updated at least here in the near future for the entryway. I don't know that we'll be putting up any staff signage unless it seems like it becomes an issue, but at least initially we want to let people know they can park here. We have been, people have been using it, and they have made comments about how they feel much safer getting out here than having to get out on Main Street, particularly older folks who are coming to pay their taxes, so it has been getting used.
And I made my comments to Mark today, but you guys don't want to hear it, because it was from my wife.
What were those?
We don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it.
We're here on Wednesday?
No, you still don't want to hear it.
Okay. Anybody have any thing they want to bring up on manager's report?
The first one, the single axle dump truck. We're buying another dump truck. Have we ever thought about putting a utility box on the back of a truck So we don't have another dump truck.
Well, in this particular case, this is a very large, I mean, this is like kind of you put in a snowplow.
This is the big truck, not the little one.
Not a little truck.
Okay.
This is a big truck, right? And this was something that was actually back in 2022, we got the
Okay.
grant for it. They're just now able to deliver the truck because of how manufacturers.
I'll revert that comment then to a T-tag, because that's something we need to look at in terms of buying something different that makes work easier for our people. Utility boxes, I do that.
Anything else in the manager's report? Anybody concerned about? Okay, moving right along then, approval of vouchers.
I move to approve voucher transmittal sheet 2024-6 for the amount of $124,620.80.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the vouchers? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. That's
One
unanimous.
interesting point. Last month, we had 2 West Penn bills. We don't have one this month, so we're out of cycle somewhere with West Penn. Okay.
That just happens.
Yeah.
Okay, COG committee reports, executive committee meeting, we set the agenda, we also recommended to the general forum, the executive committee recommended to execute a contract with Mr. Ben Estelle to assume the duties of the COG executive director, and he was that was approved at general forum. HR committee hasn't met yet. We normally do, but our meeting's postponed till the 17th of this month. And the climate action and sustainability committee was canceled. So right on to facilities committee and the rest for Dennis.
Facility, land use, and solar power did not meet. We had a delay from land use of July 4th, so we're meeting this Thursday.
Okay. Any other committee action for you? Solar
We
power?
haven't heard anything on solar power. Was tossed to be a meeting on the 10th through the 17th.
We got an email recently saying that they were hoping to have them, I think, in early August is what the
Okay.
contracts, that was the last I
By
heard.
10th and 17th are busy now, so, okay. Thank you.
All right. Bruce, all your park stuff.
Parks Capital Committee is going to meet this week, I think, this week or next week. Nothing actual, but, opportunity to catch up and let people know what's going on. Parks Governance Committee is, the main issue for Parks Governance Committee right now is there is a group of people out there that want to have a Parks Committee of elected officials, sort of like Parks Capital, except take capital out of the word, out of it. And the kind of the question, I guess the people that are interested just want to be involved as an advisory position because the municipalities are providing the funding for the parks program. They won't have any decision-making, guidance responsibilities, and an elected official can come to any park authority meeting that they wish. And the park authority is basically wrapping up our two regional projects, the Millbrook Marsh and the Whitehall Road, and those seem to be coming along fine. So that's that.
Okay. All right, Frank. All yours, starting with finance.
Okay, finance, we met beginning of last month, we meet again on Thursday. Couple things, the capital improvement plan, which I think I talked to you guys before on this, but basically, we did not, endorse it. What we said was we were allowing it to go to staff so they could start working on the budget, but the finance committee did not endorse it. Part of it was the thing with the parking lot and paving the parking lot and some other things that the comments said not to do, and they just still had them in there anyway. So we didn't endorse it, and we sent it on just so that they could use it for budget purposes. They also threw out the budget guidelines they want to use. Right now, they're saying they want a 3.5 COLA with a 1.5 merit, which gets an overall 4.04% increase right now is what they're saying. And again, there was lots of discussion there, and there's several townships that aren't going to put up with any increase, so just want you to know that that's coming. We talked about some of the programs. We did put the budget hearings for coming in the fall, all that timeline's in. Rest of it we pretty much covered, which we made some of the decisions at the general forum. So most of the rest of it you already have voted on or we discussed. State College Area Connector, I think we're all up to date on what's going on there. We saw the threading of the needle, and probably the end of this month or beginning of August will be the next public hearing for the public to come in and see where they haven't. And from what they said at the meeting, I assume they're gonna have it the whole way down the valley, but we'll see. They said they were still working on the lower half of it. MPO, we did a lot, and I normally don't, but I'm gonna go down through everything. Senator, this is some of the things you have to do. The TIP program revisions. This is when you have monies that are in the TIP and the TIP's ending, but you haven't finished the project, so you lose the money. So instead of losing the money, you move it to another project that's gonna get completed within the timeline of the TIP. So the Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program was funded. State Route 2011 Coburn Road Bridge Improvement Program, Highway and Safety Improvement Program, all those were funded. Public comment period for the Center County Air Quality Confirmation Determination Report was passed. Center County Transportation Improvement Program was discussed and passed for 2025-2028. That was what we did there was talk about the comments that came in from that. Then we actually approved the confirmation report and confirmation resolution for the air quality and also the 2025-2028 TIP, which doesn't go into effect for a while, but it has to go from us. It goes to the state now, and PennDOT will do it. Once PennDOT's done with it, it's got to go to the National Highway Safety. They approve it, and it comes back to us. And then we overall approve it. And usually we do that in November so it can start. Transportation, okay, active transportation plan. Most of the rest of it is stuff we did that, you know, we did put a projects committee together so that we can start prioritizing our projects better. And that committee will meet periodically and review all the projects in the county. That's it.
Dennis had a
Got a question. On the tax revenue purple sheet, the real estate transfers at 35%. Give me a level of optimism in getting to 50% of what we budgeted. We budgeted 250.
To get to 50% or to get to 100%?
To get to 50%, I'll take 50%.
Well, we just got another report that we're getting another $26,000, so we'll be up to a little over 115 by the middle of the year. At this point, I don't anticipate that we will get to that full 100%.
The 250.
I do not think we
Yeah.
will. I think we'll be more in the 200 to 220 range.
We should have passed that lucrative 3 to 4 years ago.
Well, with interest rates being what they are, I think it's slowing down some sales of properties, but
Yeah, the others, the others are good in terms of percentage. The real estate tax looks good, the earned income is 47%, those are doable. That one always, that's sort of a iffy category.
Okay.
Thank you.
A little segue there. Tracy, you have a report for public safety?
I got nothing. I think we're supposed to meet tomorrow, I think. I didn't get a
That-
chance to look at my book.
I
but
believe
think
that's usually
yeah.
the case, the day after our
Yep.
meeting.
Yep.
Yep,
12
I
came.
remember that. Okay.
I just forgot the date. It's in my book.
All righty. Anything else for the good of the order? So I would entertain a motion to adjourn this
Move
meeting.
to adjourn.
Second?
I think we gotta see about
All right.
parking lots.
We'll assume there's a second. Meeting adjourned.
$100,